I never thought I'd wake up in my sister's body, staring at my own reflection, her reflection now, smirking back with eyes that weren't mine, plotting the kind of revenge that would shatter our perfect little family facade forever. The scalpel-sharp truth hit me harder than the nitrous oxide they'd pumped into my veins during that experimental therapy session. Mom and Dad hadn't just sold my Mustang to fund Emily's fake breakdowns. They'd framed me for her crimes, letting me rot in guilt for a decade while she played the victim. And as I slipped into her skin, feeling the weight of her designer clothes against flesh that screamed, "Imposter," I whispered to the mirror, "Your turn to bleed lies, sis," starting with the ones that stole my life. The rain hammered down on the cracked asphalt of Elmwood Drive like it was trying to wash away the sins of our cookie-cutter suburb in upstate New York. It was the kind of late autumn storm that turns the Hudson Valley into a watercolor of grays and blacks, the leaves plastered to windshields like bloody handprints. I remember the exact moment it all unraveled because that's when I lost the one thing that made sense in my godforsaken life, my '67 Mustang Fastback. Cherry red, the roar of its V8, the only therapy I ever needed after Dad's endless lectures about family duty. I'd saved for that car since I was 14, scraping together every dime from babysitting gigs, mowing lawns in the sweltering July heat, and selling off my comic book collection at flea markets in Poughkeepsie. It wasn't just metal and leather, it was freedom. The screech of tires on back roads, a middle finger to the invisible chains Mom and Dad wrapped around us. Adeline Harper, the responsible one, the fixer, the daughter who never complained. That's what they called me. The one who covered for Emily's screw-ups, who took the heat when she snuck out to party and came home reeking of cheap vodka and regret. That morning, I pulled into the driveway after a double shift at the diner, my apron still smelling of grease and hash browns, dreaming of taking the Mustang out to the old quarry for a burnout session. But the garage door yawned open like a bad omen, empty except for Dad's rusty toolbox and a for sale sign leaning against the wall. My heart dropped faster than the temperature. "What the hell?" I muttered, slamming the car door, my beat-up Civic, the consolation prize for being the practical sister. Mom was in the kitchen, her peroxide blonde bob perfect as always, stirring a pot of her famous clam chowder like nothing was wrong. Dad sat at the Formica table, nursing a Budweiser, his flannel shirt stained with motor oil from his day job at the auto plant. Emily was upstairs, probably scrolling TikTok in her room, the one with a canopy bed and the walk-in closet full of clothes she needed for her recovery. "Guys, where's the Mustang?" My voice came out sharper than I intended, slicing through the sizzle of onions in the pan. They exchanged that look, the one that said, "Here we go." Adeline's being difficult again. Mom set down her wooden spoon, wiping her hands on her apron with the embroidered "World's Best Mom" that Emily had given her for Mother's Day. "Sweetie, we had to sell it." Emily's therapy sessions. They're expensive. The new specialist in Albany says this holistic approach could really turn things around for her. Therapy. The word tasted like battery acid. Emily's issues had started in high school, panic attacks, they called them. But I knew better. She'd always been the golden child, the one with the cheerleading pom-poms and the straight-A smile, while I lurked in the shadows, fixing her messes. Like the time she crashed Dad's truck into the principal's oak tree after a kegger, and I confessed to it, saying I'd borrowed it without permission. Grounded for a month. Lost my summer job. But Emily got a hug and a poor baby pat on the back. And now this. My dream, my escape, pawned off to some faceless buyer on Craigslist for a few grand toward Emily's healing. I laughed, a bitter bark that echoed off the yellowed cabinets. Holistic? That's code for crystal bullshit and essential oils. She's faking it.
Mom. You know she is.
Last week she was fine. Posting stories from that yoga retreat you paid for with my college fund. Dad's chair scraped back, his face reddening like overcooked lobster. Watch your tone, Adeline. Your sister's struggling. Real struggles. Unlike you, with your cars and your attitude. Family comes first. Always has. Family. The word was a noose. I'd borne their secrets for years. The time Emily shoplifted that necklace from the mall and I returned it anonymously, taking the fall for suspicious behavior at the store. Or when she cheated on her SATs, and I tutored her through the aftermath, whispering answers while Mom turned a blind eye. I'd gambled my future on their lies. And this was the payout, an empty garage and a sister who got to play martyr while I scraped by on tips and ramen. I stormed upstairs, slamming my door so hard the plaster cracked. Emily's room was across the hall, door ajar, the scent of lavender diffuser wafting out like a taunt. I peeked in. There she was, curled on her bed in yoga pants and a cashmere sweater, scrolling her phone, tears already glistening for the performance. Our eyes met, and she gave me that pout, the one that melted Dad every time. Addie, you okay? I hate that they had to do that.
But
I need this help. You understand, right?
no.
I didn't. But I nodded, because that's what pawns do. That night, as thunder rattled the windows, I lay awake plotting. Not the petty stuff, no slashed tires or anonymous tips to her therapist. Something deeper, darker. Something that would make them feel the swap I'd endured my whole life, my dreams for her delusions. The idea came from a late-night scroll through those underground forums, the ones Dad warned me about, full of conspiracy nuts and black market whispers. Body transference tech, they called it. Experimental, illegal, cooked up in some Silicon Valley lab gone rogue and smuggled east by venture capitalists with god complexes. Swap your essence with someone else's, live their life, wear their skin for a price. Revenge porn for the soul. I laughed it off at first, but desperation has a way of making the insane sound sane. 2 weeks later, after wiring the last of my savings to an anonymous account, I drove to a nondescript warehouse on the outskirts of Albany. The contact, a gaunt guy named Victor with a Russian accent thicker than borscht, met me in the shadows. You sure, Devushka? Once it's done, no takebacks. Souls don't come with warranties. I thought of the Mustang's taillights fading into the rain, Emily's fake sobs at dinner, Mom's checkbook balanced on my broken back. Swap me with her. Emily Harper. Make it look like an accident, one of her therapy sessions gone wrong. He chuckled, low and gravelly, handing me a vial of shimmering blue liquid. Drink this at midnight. We'll handle the rest. But remember, power like this? It corrupts. You become the monster you hunt. I drove home with the vial burning a hole in my pocket, the Civic's heater blasting against the chill seeping into my bones. Family dinner that night was a farce, Emily chattering about her new energy healer, Dad nodding along, Mom serving seconds of meatloaf like it could glue us back together. I smiled through it, toasting with Kool-Aid in a wine glass, my mind a whirlwind of what-ifs. Midnight found me in the bathroom, the vial cold against my lips. It tasted like copper and regret, sliding down my throat like liquid fire. The world tilted, colors bleeding into static, and then nothing. Blackness. absolute and hungry. I woke to silk sheets and the scent of vanilla candles. My body heavy, unfamiliar. Heart pounding. I stumbled to the mirror, and there she was, Emily, wide-eyed and porcelain-skinned, staring back. But the eyes, my eyes, burned with a fury that was all Adeline. I'd done it. The swap was real. The first rush was euphoria, pure and electric. I flexed her fingers, long, manicured, not my callous paws, and laughed, a sound that was hers, but laced with my venom. Downstairs, the house was quiet, parents asleep, oblivious to the storm brewing in their princess's skin. I rifled through her drawers, finding the stash, the burner phone with text to her dealer, the fake psych notes scribbled in crayon-like script, the bank statements showing donations to her cause that were really spa weekends in the Catskills. But the real gold was in the locked box under her bed, a diary, leather-bound and monogrammed. Pages of confessions, the shoplifting sprees she'd blamed on my rebellious phase, the forged emails making it look like I'd embezzled from Dad's union fund, which explained his cold shoulder for years. And the big one, the car accident last summer, the one where her best friend died in a rollover on Route 9. Emily had been driving, high as a kite, but she'd pinned it on me, saying I'd lent her the keys to the family SUV. I'd taken the plea deal, community service, the stairs at the grocery store, all for her. Rage boiled over, hot and viscous. This wasn't just betrayal, it was a lifetime sentence I'd served without trial. Victor had been right, the power corrupted fast. By dawn, I was Emily, slipping into her Lululemon for a therapy appointment, but my destination was the dealer's den in Kingston, where I'd start unraveling her web. The drive in her Audi, stolen from my car fund, of course, was a revelation. No more rattling Civic. This was smooth, predatory, the engine purring like a co-conspirator. I blasted Taylor Swift's revenge anthems, windows down, wind whipping her hair into a frenzy. At the drop spot, a seedy motel off the interstate, I met Rico, her supplier, a tattooed Latino with eyes like chipped obsidian. Emmy, baby, you look tense. Need the usual? He leaned against his lowrider, toothpick dangling. I channeled her giggle, but laced it with steel.
Nah.
Rico.
Today.
I'm cutting ties. But first, tell me how long you've been feeding her the good stuff. The panic attacks? All scripted for the family pity party. His face twisted. Confusion morphing to suspicion. What the fuck? You trippin' or? I pulled out her phone. Texts glaring. One call to the cops.
And you're done.
But help me. And maybe you walk. Lies. All of it. I had no intention of walking away clean. He spilled the pills, the payoffs to keep quiet, how Emily had roped him into faking evidence of my involvement in her benders. By the time I left, I had recordings, enough to torch her world. Back home, I played the dutiful daughter, hugging Mom at the door, whispering, I feel so much better today. Like a weight's lifted. She beamed, clueless. While inside, Adeline plotted the next move, Dad's union. Emily had skimmed thousands, framing me as the disgruntled daughter with a grudge. Controversial? Hell yes. I'd expose it anonymously, but not before planting seeds of doubt. A forged email here, a whispered rumor there. The tension built like a storm front. Emily in my body now, groggy and disoriented, stumbled downstairs that evening, Her eyes, mine wild.
What?
What happened? Addie? Why do I feel? She trailed off, clutching her head, my old flannel hanging loose on her frame. Mom fussed over her. Oh, honey, another episode? While I, in Emily's skin, watched with detached amusement. Dad shot me a grateful look, as if my improvement was a miracle. Dinner was surreal, me picking at quinoa salad, her devouring meatloaf like it was the last meal. Under the table, I texted Victor from her phone. Phase 2, amplify. That night, as thunder rolled again, I lay in her bed, the diary open to a new page. My handwriting, her elegant script, scrawled the plan: infiltrate her inner circle, seduce her boyfriend, the trust fund prick who'd egged on her schemes, leak the union fraud to the local paper. But the real knife? Convince the family I'd recovered so thoroughly that Emily's relapse would look like sabotage, my sabotage.
From inside her body.
It was twisted. Yeah. Morally gray as a coal miner's lung. But after years of being the scapegoat, the pawn in their game of favorites, I'd flipped the board. The swap wasn't just revenge, it was reclamation. And, as sleep claimed me, Emily's soft snores echoing from my old room, I dreamed of the Mustang's ghost, its headlights cutting through the dark, leading me to the crash I was engineering. The days blurred into a fevered dream of duality, me navigating Emily's life like a ghost in a machine, every smile a mask, every tear a weapon. By week 2, I'd master her tics, the hair flip when flustered, the breathy laugh for boys. The way she'd trail off mid-sentence like fragility was her superpower. Mom ate it up, dragging me to brunches at the country club where the other step-forward wives cooed over my progress. Adeline's always been so strong, Mom would say, squeezing my hand, Emily's hand, while across town. My body slumped through shifts at the diner, Emily's confusion mounting like unpaid bills. I tried to tell them once. Over breakfast. Pancakes steaming, syrup pooling like blood.
This isn't right.
I'm not.
I'm Emily.
Something's wrong with me. Her voice cracked. My old timbre rough from disuse. Dad chuckled, patting her shoulder. Rough night.
Kiddo?
Lay off the energy drinks. I chimed in, all sisterly concern. Maybe up the meds.
Immunasia.
You look wrecked.
Inside.
I was cackling. The power intoxicating. A high better than any burnout in the Mustang. Victor's tech was black magic wrapped in biotech, nanites. He called them. Rewriting neural pathways, syncing memories without overwriting them. I had access to her secrets, her muscle memory, but my core burned Adeline hot. It let me dig deeper. Her boyfriend, Chad, yes,
Chad,
with his lacrosse build and daddy's law firm, met me at the quarry, the same spot I'd loved for the Mustang's echoes. He pulled up in his Jeep, all bro energy and Axe body spray. Babe, you seem
different.
Hotter. Somehow. He grinned, hands roaming as we parked under the pines. I let him, just enough to hook him, then whispered questions between kisses. Tell me about that summer party. The one where I got too wasted. What really happened to Jess? His eyes flickered, guilt shadowing that jawline. Jess, Emily's bestie, dead in the wreck Emily caused. Chad had been there, covering for her, spiking drinks to shift blame. Why bring that up now? You said it was my fault for not stopping you. I traced his collarbone. Voice a purr. Because I want the truth.
Chad.
All of it. For us.
Lies.
Sweet as honeysuckle. He spilled how Emily had begged him to say I'd been driving. How they'd planted my hair tie in the wreckage. By the time he dropped me off, I had his confession recorded. A digital guillotine. The controversial decisions started small, testing the waters of my new morality. I donated Emily's closet staples to a shelter, Gucci bags, Louboutins, framing it as growth, but really stripping her armor. Mom praised my generosity. Emily, in my skin, raged in whispers. Those were mine. But who believed the unstable one? Next, the union leak. I hacked her laptop. Her passwords were as predictable as her breakdowns. Princess M87. Forwarding docs to the Poughkeepsie Journal. Sources say Harper family embezzlement. Daughter's involvement suspected. They bit. Headlines screaming scandal. Dad's calls went to voicemail. His face at dinner was a thundercloud. You're glowing, Emily, Mom said one night, her eyes misty. This therapy's a miracle. If only she knew the miracle was me, puppeteering her favorite from the grave of my old life. But the antagonist in this farce wasn't just Emily, it was the system they'd built, brick by lie. Dad's power at the plant, foreman with pull. The guy who quashed investigations into safety violations for bonuses. Emily had his ear, whispering about stress relief, trips that were really coke-fueled weekends in Vegas. I'd borne one such mistake, a whistleblower tip I'd filed anonymously, blamed on me when it backfired, costing Dad a promotion. He'd called me ungrateful, locked me out of the house for a week.
Now.
In her body, I whispered to him over whiskey in the den. Dad, remember that tip-off? What if it wasn't Addie? He waved it off, but doubt seeded. The tension ratcheted. Family dinners devolving into minefields. Emily cornered me in the hallway one night, my old eyes blazing in her face. What did you do? My stuff's gone. Chad's acting weird. And Dad's looking at me like I'm the enemy. Swap us back. You bitch. I leaned in, Emily's breath ghosting her, my ear. Swap? Honey, you're delusional. That's why you're falling apart. She shoved me. Hard. I stumbled, theatrical tears springing. Mom rushed in, separating us. Cooing over poor Emily while bundling Addie off for a nap. The gaslighting was exquisite, a slow poison. By month 1, the revenge crescendoed. I orchestrated Emily's relapse spectacular, a staged overdose at her next session, pills from Rico swapped for placebos, but notes planted to suggest deliberate escalation. The healer called 911. Sirens wailed into our driveway at 3 a.m. I rode in the ambulance, holding my hand, her hand, whispering, "Fight it,
sis."
For the family. The hospital was a fluorescent purgatory, beeping monitors and stale coffee. Mom sobbed in the waiting room. Dad paced, phone glued to his ear. Union reps circling like vultures. Emily woke groggy, demanding answers. But the docs upped her meds, labeling it acute psychosis. I played the rock, the improved sibling, fielding calls from Chad, who dumped her via text. Can't do this drama anymore.
Peace.
The real high came at the family meeting in the hospital cafeteria. Vinyl seats sticking to our thighs. We need to commit her, I said, voice steady in Emily's lilt. For her own good. I've seen the light, therapy works. But she needs more. Mom nodded. Tears flowing, Dad grunted agreement. The embezzlement story still fresh wounds. Emily thrashed. No, it's her. Adeline did this. But her words dissolved into sedation. My victory sealed. Outside. Rain slicked the parking lot, echoing that first storm. I slipped away to Victor's warehouse. Payment in crypto for the next phase. Permanence. Make it stick, I told him, vial number 2 trembling in my grip. She's the pawn now. He eyed me, shadows carving his face. You're in deep. Devushka. That fire? It'll burn you too. Back home, the house felt hollow. Mom packing Emily's things for the facility in Syracuse, state-funded. No frills. The kind of place that grinds souls to dust. I helped, folding her sweaters with mock care, pocketing the diary as trophy. Dad confronted me that night, bourbon breath hot. Your sister's breaking.
Eminencia.
And that story in the paper. It mentioned Addie. You know something? I met his gaze. Channeling innocence.
Dad.
Addie's always been troubled. Maybe it's time we faced it. The lie landed like a gut punch. He deflated, turning away.
Power.
Raw and unfiltered. Coursed through me. But cracks showed, nights where Emily's memories bled in. Flashes of genuine pain amid the manipulation. Had she always been this hollow? Or had I become her? The climax brewed at the commitment hearing, a sterile courtroom in Kingston, wood paneling scarred like old wounds. Emily, drugged and defiant in my old jeans, ranted about body swaps and revenge. The judge, a grizzled vet with no patience for delusions, sided with the docs. As they wheeled her out, our eyes locked, hers pleading, mine triumphant. You'll pay, she mouthed. I smiled, Emily's perfect teeth gleaming. But revenge is a serpent, coiling tighter. That night, alone in her room, I cracked the diary again. Buried in the margins, a note in Dad's scrawl, tell no one. The accident was Adeline's fault. She covered for you, but it's eating her. My stomach lurched.
What?
The twist hit like a freight train on icy tracks, derailing everything I'd built on Emily's bones. That note, Dad's handwriting, jagged from years at the plant, cracked the facade wide open. I confronted him the next morning. Sophie breving bitter as my muet. The house still echoing with Emily's absence. Dad, what the hell does this mean? The accident, Jess dying. You said I covered for her. He froze, mug halfway to his lips, eyes darting like a cornered fox. Mom was at the market. Thank God, this was man-to-man poison.
Ink.
You weren't supposed to see that.
It was.
Complicated. Adeline was driving that night. High. Reckless. But she begged us to pin it on you, said it'd ruin your cheer scholarship. Your future. We protected you. Like always. Protected. The word detonated in my skull. Flashes assaulted me, Emily's memories surfacing unbidden through the nanites, the party, the keys in my hand, the blur of lights as I floored it, Jess laughing in the passenger seat. I'd blacked out the guilt, buried it under layers of resentment, letting Emily's smaller sins eclipse my mortal one. I'd taken the blame not just for her thefts, but to shield her from my catastrophe. No, wait. The swap had merged us, truths twisted like smoke. I stumbled back, Emily's manicured nails digging into palms that weren't mine. You lied to me. All those years, you let me think she was the monster. Dad's face crumpled. the powerful foreman reduced to a whimpering shell. We had to.
Eminência.
Adeline's always been volatile. Selling the car? That was to get you away from her influence. Fund your real healing. Not her enabling. Healing. The irony was a blade. Twisting deep. My Mustang. Sold not for fake crystals, but to bankroll Emily's actual therapy, sessions I'd dismissed as scams, but which had pulled her from the edge I'd pushed her toward.
The union scheme.
Emily's doing. Yes. But to pay off my legal fees from the plea deal I'd taken to spare her the truth. Layers upon layers. A house of mirrors where I'd been the architect of my own cage. Rage morphed to nausea, the power souring in my veins. Victor had warned me. Now it clawed back. I drove to the facility that afternoon, Emily's Audi eating miles like guilt. Syracuse loomed gray and institutional, chain-link fences topped with razor wire. She was in a day room, sedated haze in her, my eyes, rocking in a plastic chair. Addie. Her voice was a rasp, recognition flickering. I nodded, collapsing beside her, the walls closing in. It's me.
The swap.
It's all unraveling. I thought you were the poison. But Dad, he said I killed Jess. That I made you take the fall. Tears carved tracks down her cheeks, my cheeks. You did. But not like that. You were wrecked. Addie. After Mom's affair came out, yeah. She cheated with the pastor. Remember? You found the letters. You drove that night to blow off steam. Took Jess along. I followed. Begged you to let me drive. You wouldn't. The crash. I told them I was behind the wheel to protect you. Said you'd let me the keys. But you were so broken after. Hating yourself. I let the lie grow. Covered for your cover-ups. The reversed truth slammed home. We'd both been pawns. Trading burdens in a toxic tango. My sacrifices for her crimes? Half-truths. Hers for mine were the same. The family's secrets weren't buried by them. But by us, sisters entwined in mutual destruction. Parents complicit in the fog. Mom's healing funds? A desperate bid to fix what we'd shattered. The Mustang collateral in our war. I clutched her hand, skins swapped but souls colliding. We end this.
Now.
The decision was the most controversial yet. Mercy. Laced with madness. I called Victor from the payphone. Voice steel. Reverse it. Both of us. And wipe the slate. Make it look like a dream. A shared hallucination. He laughed. That gravel rumble. Too late. Devushka. The Nanites bonded. Reversal? It'll kill one. Maybe both. Or worse, merge you permanent. Tension peaked in that sterile room. Guards eyeing us as Emily, no. We plotted the final act. Expose it all. Mom's affair. Dad's cover-ups. Our swap sins. But how? A joint confession. Taped and leaked. Turning the Harper family into tabloid fodder. Or silence. Reclaiming bodies and burying truths deeper. The debate raged internal. Justice or survival. Heroism or cowardice. We chose the blaze. That night, under a moonless sky, I smuggled in the second vial, splitting it between us. To freedom, I toasted. Her lips, my lips, brushing the glass. The world dissolved again. Essences warring. Bodies convulsing on the linoleum. Alarms blared. Nurses swarmed. I woke in my own skin. The diner's apron chafing familiar scars. Emily beside me in the ER. Her hand in mine. The swap undone. But memories intact. Victor's gift. Or curse. Mom and Dad burst in. Faces ashen. The journal article clutched like a rosary. Girls? What happened? We told them everything. Voices overlapping in raw harmony. The crash. The lies. The swap born of hate-fueled desperation. Dad sank into a chair. Whispering apologies, Mom wept. The world's best facade cracking. The facility released Emily with a clean bill, our episode chalked to stress, and we drove home in silence. The Audis hum a requiem. But the ending? No tidy bow. I bought back the Mustang with insurance from the accident. A payout for our shared breakdown, its red paint scarred but roaring anew. Emily started real therapy. No cuotas, y furgaba. Or tried. But the scars itched. Dad lost his foreman gig to the scandal, but found peace in AA meetings. Mom confessed her sins. The family splintering then mending. Fragile as frost. Was it happy? Tragic? We saved each other. Or damned ourselves deeper. Readers, you decide. As I burned rubber on Route 9, Emily's shotgun, wind whipping our hair, I glanced at her. Real eyes meeting real. No more pawns, I said. She nodded. The horizon swallowing our shadows. Revenge tasted like ash. But rebirth? That burned bright. In the rear view, the past faded. But whispers lingered. What if we'd never swapped? Would the lies have festered forever? The debate echoes. A ghost in the machine, reminding us, betrayal's the easy part, truth's the vengeance that never ends.